here we go. Oh, hello, my darlings. I'm flapping. Let's try this side. Is that better? I don't know, when I sit down, is that going to be better? Trying to work this out. So, hello. Welcome to, well, let's first say welcome to you and welcome to Internet, this online platform, this school for unlearning the old programs and remembering the divine wisdom that you already have in your body, in your soul, in your emotional body, in your mental or intellectual space. So as I wait for people to join, people may or may not join, I'm not exactly sure. Let me see if I invite some friends. Oh no, we don't want to do that. No. So this workshop is number 2 in the series. And it is about the present moment. I will sit down in a minute. I just wanted to do the introductions before I, flatter about and do what I need to do, and then start talking about the present moment. So for those that are new, hi Sammy, I just saw you join. Actually, let me do something logistical. Over the last 2.5 weeks, Mercury has been in retrograde. We have also had some other big transits, planetary transits, that have affected communication, that have affected the internet. Most of us are familiar that the internet, some of the social media crashed last week, like Instagram and Facebook and blah, blah, blah. So everything is being reset. And as a consequence, my Wi-Fi at home has been just totally crap and sluggish. And I've had to escalate this problem to, like the higher technical department people, whatever. So it's sort of working at about maybe 90% at the moment. So this live, I am pretty certain is not going to be interrupted. However, I just want to bring this to your attention in case anything happens, or if there's a little bit of lagging, if anything is going on at your end, just make a comment so that I know that something's up. Otherwise, I've got no way of knowing. This group here that we have for this workshop obviously is a private group, only to those that are registered and have paid for this workshop. I haven't as yet closed the group for the first workshop because we had all of that drama with the internet and everything, but I'll get around to that either at the end of the day or tomorrow. So here's your last chance for those that are doing this workshop as well, and that have done the other workshop, to have a quick look. I have an announcement to make with regards to the workshops, but I think I just need to maybe sit with that idea. I received the channel this morning, but maybe I just need to sit with that idea and share it with you a little bit later on. Yeah. Just so that I iron out all of the information with clarity as it comes in. Okay, thanks, Sammy. So it's all good. Fantastic. Okay, great. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do was play a little bit of relaxation music, but unfortunately, because the internet is so like, I had to turn YouTube off so that I can have a relatively smooth recording or live here. But I'm just wondering if I can, if I grab my phone and I just play something relaxing in the background. I really think we could all do with something really beautiful and relaxing. Let me see, what is this? Okay, let's go with this. Can you hear it, Sammy? Let me know if you can hear the music. Oh, hey, Lauren, you've just joined. I haven't started yet. I'm just doing the introductions. Welcome, my love. So I've just put a little bit of relaxation music on in the background. Okay, you can hear it. I hope it's not too loud or distracting. Also confirm to me that you can hear me well, because I haven't got my headsets in today. I've got a bit of an ear thing going on, this time the left ear. Seriously, just this whole purge upgrade, you know, it's interesting. So connected to the pituitary and the pineal glands, tiny little activation points like ear chakras behind here. And so when there's a lot of purging and energy come in, they can sometimes activate. And so last month I went through this really bad ear infection in my right ear, which was like this cleansing, purging. It was glue ear. And now it's my left ear, although it's not as bad as the right one. So that's interesting. Well, not yet anyway. Let's just touch wood and call it a blessing. Okay. I'm going to now sit down and we are going to get busy and get jiggy with it, with spirit. Woo! It's not really relaxation music, but you know. All right. Oh. I hope everybody's well. It is the 22nd here in Australia. I know that there are some people that will be taking part in this workshop. Oh my goodness, I'm so old. Okay. That are in other parts of the world. Woo. All right, how's that? Do you know what I just realized? I just realized that I am like 10 minutes in. I've only just sat down and I have the worst possible dress for this chair. You know why? Because I sit down on the chair and my dress is like a silky material and I'm just slipping off the chair. Okay. All right, let's see if we can do this. Hopefully I'm not giving you an eyeful of what I'm not meant to give. Okay, this is coming off. It's really humid. It was lovely earlier this morning. It was raining. And right now it's really humid and I feel completely disheveled and disorganized. Okay, let's do... Okay, I'm going to stop now. And I'm going to start with taking a deep breath. Coming into the present moment, into my body, as I watch this flame dance around the Palo Santo stick. Palo Santo is this beautiful smudging stick that comes from South America, that is wonderful for bringing your attention back into the present moment, for clearing the air, for calling in ancestral wisdom, our collective wisdom, and clearing the energy field for me, for you, and this workshop as we proceed with this channel. Beautiful. Okay. So, I hope you got your coffees, your drinks, your water, some notepads, so you can write some things down. If we were in a classroom setup, I would basically be exactly the same. So the workshop is structured in a way that I channel the information that's relevant for the collective in any one present moment. So the channel comes directly from source. And then, of course, it comes in and it's manifested through words as an event. And so when we meet in this format of a private group, only those that have connected with this have access to this group. So you are able to basically, once we're finished, watch this as many times as you like. It is now, what time is it now? 11:21. I started a little bit late. So say the actual work for those that are watching later on starts around 10 minutes in, but maybe that's something that I will have to flag when we're finished. Okay. So how to heal in the present moment. In order to understand how to heal in the present moment, you first have to understand what the present moment is. Essentially, the present moment, from the more physical perspective, so the more three-dimensional perspective of matter, as in planet Earth, the present moment is about what is going on with our senses right now. Yeah? Because as human beings, we are wired to survive, we have those multi-sensory experiences, the sense of smell, the sense of touch, the hearing, the tasting, and all of that. If you're ever not sure about how to come back into the present moment, think of it in terms of you connect right now with what's going on within your senses. What are you seeing? What are you feeling, touching, pen, tasting, drinking, if anything? What are you hearing? Did I leave anything out? I don't know. The 5 senses, right? From a human perspective, those senses, that multi-sensory facility will bring you into right here, right now, right? So where are you? I'm sitting down somewhere, yeah? The light is on. The sun is shining outside. You can see it behind me right there through the window, right? I can hear the relaxation music. I can hear a plane going above me. I can smell the Palo Santo that I just burnt. I can taste the organic coffee that I'm drinking. From the physical perspective, right, very basic survival setup. That is the present moment. This is how you come back into the present moment really quickly, right? If you're ever in doubt as to whether you're in the present moment, just do that real quick check in, right? What's going on around me right now? Yeah. That brings you into the present moment and gets you to focus right here, right now with what is going on in your environment, right? Step number 1. Step number 2 in terms of the present moment can be something along the lines of, now that I can feel, I can taste, I can hear, I can see. If I close my eyes and take a deep breath and focus only on my breath, I connect with something that is within me. My breath. Breath in, inhale, breath out. My breath anchors my focus in this present moment. And by connecting with my breath, which is within me, I can now connect with different aspects of me. What am I feeling right now? That is a gift from your emotional body. My feelings right now are that of peace. I feel neutral. Peace is the predominant emotion, energy in motion that is within me right now. Why am I feeling this peace right now? Because I have absolute faith and surrender to the powers that be within me, above me, around me, that the information that is most relevant right now to you will come through. Another aspect of me is my intellect, my mind. What are the thoughts going through my mind right now? For me, my mind is pretty blank. I can feel or intuit echoes of things that are waiting for me to do once this workshop is finished. But they are just distant echoes that I'm not attached to. I am in this present moment, and my thoughts, my mind is pretty vacant, allowing for the higher mind to come in and simply guide that which comes out of my mouth through the portal called throat chakra. This for you may be different until you have a little bit of practice and a little bit of discipline around stilling your mind or working consciously within your intellectual body and your emotional body. What is an echo for me may actually be very present within your mind. You may find that there is a shopping list going on, right? When you focus in on your thoughts, there's a shopping list going on, right? I'm going to leave it there for now, and we will come back to this. What I'm talking about right now is what is the present moment right now and how to connect with it and what things to explore as you're going along, right? So, quick summary. First step, multisensory physical environment. Yep. So, what's going on in your environment and what's going on in terms of your senses? Then you connect with your breath. Your breath brings you back in to yourself, and then you explore your body, physical body, your emotional body, your intellectual body, right? Those three things. That gives you the depth of connecting with the present moment. And then the last piece of wisdom I want to offer to you in terms of connecting with the present moment is then understanding your soul or your energy body, being able to connect with that consciously. So where is your energy now? What frequency is it at, right? And by extension, understanding that every thought, every feeling, anything, any messages that are coming from your body, any messages that are coming from your taste buds, from your physical eyes, from your ears, right, are of energetic frequency. So each one of those things has an energy frequency attached to it. And it also has like a chemical makeup, yeah? So organic coffee, the one that I drink, right, creates pleasure for me. That neuro pathway in my brain that says coffee equals pleasure equals a chemical reaction that comes directly through, right, down the cortex here and floods in my body. So my body has the relevant, physical reaction to my perception of what's in this cup. That is exactly the same with anything that you see, hear, taste, touch, feel, experience when you close your eyes, or have an understanding of that you didn't before. So you could say, in fact, that the present moment is made up of a bunch of energy particles moving around, creating impression or directly affecting the world within you and around you. And how you perceive this world will depend on your life experience, your programming, what your soul wanted to experience in this life in order to evolve within matter, within this physical plane. Yeah. I know that's a little bit complex. It even sounds complex to me, although I kind of understand it, obviously, within me. So when people talk about the present moment and the importance of this present moment, it is truly because the present moment is literally the only thing that's real. What you ate yesterday and what you did yesterday, literally from the perspective of creation and experience, doesn't exist anymore. It is like an archived experience. Because in this moment, the meal from yesterday doesn't exist because it's not here. You can't feel it, taste it, touch it, experience it right now. That's not to say that it didn't happen, but I want you to understand that that experience is not this moment's reality, which is why the present moment is truly the only thing that actually exists, hence its importance. So when our conscious awareness, right, is primarily in the present moment, and we are tuned in with all those beautiful things happening simultaneously with us right now, then we create the best possible outcome for tomorrow, for 6 months down the track, for 3 years down the track. Are there any questions? I'm actually not sure how many people are here with me right now. And I just wanted to check in and see if there are any questions, any burning questions to do with what is the present moment in terms of our human experience, and then by extension, from the human physical experience to that inner experience that we have every single day. Are there any questions? I just need to go and check something. Hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm back. Oh, where are we? Okay. Okay, no questions. All right, beautiful. Sorry, I actually had to scroll down because my question feed kind of just stopped. All right. I'm just trying to get the best way to expand on this current information that I've just shared with you. All right. So if within this present moment we are creating a series of energetic movements, yeah, because everything is energy, right? Our thoughts are made up of energy, frequency. Our feelings. Energy is what vibrates in our organs, in our bloodstream, in our physical body, in our brain. Particles of energy. You can literally think of them. This is kind of how I see them. So it's really, I'm just going to, I don't know, can you see, where am I? Okay. So it's literally like a round ball, right? And it has this buzzing, right? It's like a particle of energy. And this buzzing, right, will be, say that's a frequency. That up and down is like a frequency, yeah? And what it does, this up and down, is creates like a vortex of energy within, right? That's a particle of energy that vibrates at a particular frequency, right? When a particle is slow, then it's more like this, right? The movement is slow. Oh, hang on, this way, right? The higher the frequency, right, the faster it spins, right? Yeah. And it will look for a partner, right? It will look to engage with other particles of energy that are of like, yeah? Like that in the present moment. So why am I giving you this kind of more quantum explanation of the present moment? Because there is a direct correlation between the way energy moves, right, within the present moment, and the density that we may still be holding in our body and ascending from. That just felt really loud for a minute. So all right. So say this moment here, right, is the workshop. This workshop, right, will create a timeline, right? From 11 o'clock this morning to 1 o'clock. I'm going to talk kind of really in human terms, right? That'll be a timeline, right? Beginning. Oh, shit. Okay. Hang on. 11 a.m., 1 p.m., right? This is a timeline. On this timeline, right, I have the experience of sitting on the chair, of talking, of being in my living room, of smelling some incense as well as the Palo Santo, right? Of channeling, of feeling peace inside of me and allowing my mind to be vacant so that I can perceive divine will in terms of what is important for this timeline, for these series of present moments, right? Now, your timeline, you will have your own timeline to do with this present moment or these series of present moments, and you will feel a certain way, you will think a certain, certain thoughts, and your body will be, you might be lying down in bed for all I know, it doesn't matter, it's all good. You could be doing yoga or cooking or, I don't know, preparing food or whatever it is that you're going to be doing at your present moment with regards to this workshop as you are listening to this in this moment. Now, this is my moment right now. When you listen to it will be your present moment in relation to this timeline, this workshop timeline, okay? So say that's a linear timeline, right? So I'm being asked, to tell you to consider this divine truth. Everything that happens to you is a timeline. The 20th of March is a timeline. What you did that day. It's a series of moments, right, that you experienced that day. The day you were born is a timeline. Why is it a timeline? Because on that day you experienced thoughts, feelings, had interactions with people that were a certain way. You created chemicals in your body, you ate, you looked at things, you saw colors, you smelled stuff, you heard stuff, etc. All of these particles, energy particles, right? Those round little doobies that I drew before, right? They all exist on this timeline, right? So that could be a thought, that could be there could be a smell or whatever. It's so interesting trying to draw what feels upside down. So excuse me if I'm looking a little bit special doing that. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so a series, right? And all of these particles of energy create a series of experiences on a timeline. So say we make this really simple and say, once this workshop is finished, this experience, right? This timeline now has an energetic charge. And the charge means that it's a little bit, well, basically it's like this, that these energy particles, right, depending on the frequency that they buzz at, yeah, will create a charge on this timeline. So you'll either be a fast charge, high frequency, or anything in between, or you could be dense if you have an experience that inspires maybe a more negative thought, or it illuminates this experience, this workshop, illuminates something that's been in the shadow for you or the subconscious, and suddenly it comes to light and you have an aha moment. Well, I call them aha moments, right? So this present moment, this timeline, made up of series of present moments, in summary, will have, right, those present moments will have energy, particles of energy that will make up your thoughts, your emotions, your physical reaction, your smell, your taste, all of that stuff, right? This is the quantum or the energetic response to what is going on in your present moment. Once we finish this workshop and you go to sleep tonight, right? You process whatever you need to process and you wake up tomorrow, this timeline becomes the past, right? I'm going to write that down. So hang on. Current, past, right? So this becomes, oops, the other way. Past, this timeline becomes the past, and tomorrow you will have another series of present moments, right? This timeline here, right, becomes not just a past timeline, it becomes a memory that gets stored in your subconscious memory bank. If it's high vibrational, it is aligned with your divine highest expression in every present moment, and it serves as the creator of more of that illumination. If the timeline has negative charge, meaning a more dense experience attached to it, it has the kind of charge that will look to dissolve or neutralize, right, off that timeline. So what does that mean in plain English? If you have a timeline that's been created in your past that has negative, dense aspects to it, meaning pain, disappointment, abandonment, and those things are lodged in your subconscious, those timelines will attempt to neutralize. And how do they do that? And why do they want to neutralize? Well, they want to neutralize because they want to come in alignment with your highest possible soul expression, right? So that you can create more of your highest potential. But how do they do this? They do this by attracting to themselves, right? By them. Blah, blah, blah. Forget that, what I just said. Let me try that again. Okay. So how do those negative charges on the timeline, and when I say negative, I just mean more of those experiences that have in the past created us pain, created pain for us, fear, maybe a little bit of depression, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean. I'm just going to move around. How do they do that? They do that by calling from the subconscious. They're calling for acknowledgement. And when we acknowledge them, they come into light, energetically speaking, right? And when they come to light, that means that we can see it and we can deal with it. So we can consciously acknowledge it, neutralize it. But what do they do? What do these timelines, how are these timelines so clever, right? Well, the energy that's slow will call to itself, magnetize to itself, a like energy outside of ourselves, a mirror, someone that will teach us or show us What is it within us that needs healing, right? So relationships, we are now actually at a time where we've just had a full moon in Libra. Relationships are really once again at the forefront of what's coming to collective consciousness. And what I mean by that is relationship within ourselves as well as relationships outside of ourselves. Now, whether that's work relationships, relationships with our intimate relationships, our friendships, our families, our children, it's actually irrelevant. Relationships altogether. Now, one of the reasons why relationships are coming to us in this way is because there is a lot of density in terms of the collective subconscious. And so the subconscious, things that are in the shadow, in the subconscious, the unknown stuff, right? In the tarot, it's the moon card. Those things that we don't see necessarily about ourselves. Things that have potentially caused us pain in our childhood or even other lifetimes are knocking on the door of the subconscious mind, wanting to come into light so that we can become aware of it and we can deal with it. Hence the healing in the present moment. It's how we call the past timelines into the present moment so that we can look at it from here, from this right now timeline. What often happens when we are reacting from our subconscious is that we are continually reliving the past because we are stuck in that past timeline, right? We continue to recreate the same feelings, the same thoughts, the same energy charge, right? Over and over and over again. So even though we are in 2019, we are recreating the energetic and the chemical environment of 1999, and replaying the old thing over and over and over again. Phew, it's a big one. It's really big. Eckhart Tolle, if you haven't heard of this before, then I'll just share it here. Eckhart Tolle is an author that's written a book called The Power of Now. He was the first one, as far as I know, to really capture and explain within a published book the importance of the present moment. Because in this present moment, we are literally, when consciously aware, master creators. We create what happens in this moment and moving forward. And the conscious moment also consists of the awareness of past moments, memories, i.e., timelines. The difference between someone that's on a spiritual journey and someone that is not is that someone that is not on a spiritual journey is not yet conscious or aware of those aspects of self that create their day-to-day moments. But you and I have a more conscious framework around energy, around those aspects within ourselves. We understand that we have an emotional body, meaning a field around us that's made up of things we feel, as well as a field around us that's made up of things that we think, belief systems, values, and all of these things are interconnected and communicating, have a relationship. So we are consciously aware of this, and throughout our ascension and awakening journey, we consciously consider this, as opposed to someone that's still unaware and spends very little or no time considering aspects of themselves because they are too focused on the world outside of themselves only. So social programming, how much money do I make? Only, I'm talking only, yeah? Not saying there's anything wrong with it, please understand. I'm just talking about conscious awareness, yeah? So, you know, there's many in the collective consciousness that are still not aware of their subconscious space, subconscious mind, which is the unconscious shadow self, and their entire existence is based on social programming. You know, things happen in an order. You're born, you go to school, you go to uni, you get a job, you make your money, you buy your house, you get married, have some children, and then you have a holiday or, you know, travel around the world when you retire at 60 something, if you're lucky. Collective consciousness is awakening, that there is more to us than this external living. There is very much an inside world that goes on. And so when our conscious awareness expands, we begin to see the world in a different way. And one of those ways is to consider and to learn how to see, feel, know, understand, and eventually embody the quantum energy aspect of our existence, which is really your soul and your oversoul and your spirit and blah, blah, blah. So to understand that as master creators, every moment is part of a timeline, right? And this timeline is neutral when it's aligned energetically with your highest perspective, and it continues to hold charge and take up a room within your body when it has density attached to it, right? That's the energy charge, which is usually slow, and it goes something along the lines of, I've been hurt before, I can't trust men, women, whatever your soul's evolution is. It is those timelines that take up space in your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind that call to you people, places, things that match the charge of those past timelines so that you can experience it. No, so that you can observe it. You can make sure that you learn from it. And when you no longer have a reaction to that timeline, to that more dense energy, you dissolve the timeline. It's like the energy charge, the movement simply dissolves, evaporates, and it moves to a higher frequency that is more aligned with your heart and your soul. You embody with every different choice you make a different energy frequency, a different energy charge. Yeah. Once the charge from a timeline, right, is neutralized, so say these are negative charges, right? Neutral X, neutral X, neutral X. This timeline, this linear timeline, has no more reason to exist. It literally collapses. You may have heard in your travels the expression timeline collapse. That is literally what timeline collapse is. You neutralize the charge. Anything negative and dense is dissolved. Your energy ascends to a different frequency that is more aligned with your highest expression, right? This linear timeline no longer has reason to exist, and it collapses. Timeline collapse can only happen when the timeline that you are working with is brought into the present moment where you can observe it. The observer platform, right, is always neutral. So you are bringing your past, what's in your unconscious, into this present moment. I'm going to give you an example, and then we might do a little exercise, because I think even though I'm drawing, I want to see if I can really anchor this understanding or ground this understanding for you by an actual example, and then maybe a guided visualization where you can practice doing this. Let me just, and before I do that, are there any questions at the moment? All right, makes sense, okay? Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So I just want you to understand, actually, I'm just going to summarize. What we are really talking about is we are talking about the present moment being the core of your creation, right? This right now, those different aspects that you are present with right now, that are happening right now in real time, right? However, even in this present moment, you are creating a timeline. This timeline will have either a neutral charge if you're fully aligned with your highest version, or you will create a timeline with denser energetic charge that will be lodged in your subconscious brain in the form of a memory with a negative charge until it's time for it to come forth through your life experience so that you can neutralize it. Because neutral charge, energy, particles of energy, right, automatically go to your highest possible frequency. So in alignment with your soul. Because it means that lesson, simple English, it means you've learned the lesson and you don't have to go back and do it again. Because you can now just observe it. You will remember it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but you will remember it and have no reaction within you, energy reaction. There will be no negative thoughts or no, because you've just neutralized it, because you can observe it and see it for exactly what it was. And what it is your soul's plan to experience something in order for you to learn, so your soul can evolve in this physical space. Period. And because of the nature of energy, the more particles you neutralize, the more particles are aligned with your highest expression, with your soul truth, the more that timeline doesn't need to exist anymore. So it just collapses. And the really awesome thing is, here's the thing, the more timelines you collapse, the more you learn, the more you embody your soul's wisdom, the more you are out of the karmic wheel. And this is how we transcend karma. This is why some souls don't have to come back anymore and neutralize any more shit, because the soul has learned what it needs to. So you can support evolution from a different perspective. Yeah? Okay. Hang on, let me just check in here. Lauren, making sense. Beautiful. Awesome. Now, the other thing that I'm being flagged to just acknowledge is that this process of neutralizing energy, of coming into awareness, which is another word for, or another way to see coming into light, divine light, yeah, is to understand that it is energy or particle alchemy. This is how you are the alchemist. If, again, referring to tarot, this is the magician card. When you have awareness of all the different particles of energy and how they move and how you are the manifestor, the creator of your own series of present moments based on the energy that you are transmitting out consciously into the world, is what you are creating consciously, is what your timelines are based on. You may actually get to a stage eventually, which is kind of the evolutionary process, when we are no longer creating timelines in the subconscious mind, because we are consciously co-creating with the universe, with the highest aspect of ourselves, and hence is how we become divine architects. So this all leads us to the same collective mission. In the meantime, there's a shitload of timelines and enmeshed codependent little suckers that we've created. Sorry, I don't even know what that was. But anyway, we'll just go with codependent little suckers that we've created as a collective unconscious over the last however many thousands of years. Collective unconscious programming around fear, around, programs, what certain things mean, what we need to do, how to do it, that in order to get this, we have to do it this way, and it's the only way to do it, and so on and so forth. But all of this, of course, is now changing. But before we go into consciously creating, which I'm guessing is going to be one of the things that Spirit is going to want me to talk about eventually, we need to understand exactly how the negative charge on a timeline is created. So I'm going to share a little bit of a story with you. There's so many. Holy shit. Okay. Which one should I share? I'm going to share two. Two that played a huge difference in the way my life has evolved, this lifetime has evolved, right, for me. And Sammy, you might actually know this story already, but I don't think that Lauren would, or some of the other people will know this story, some that know me a little bit better. I'm just getting myself a little bit comfier because my butt is literally sticking to the chair because it's humid here. Sorry. Okay. So story number one. Let me talk to you about, let me start with an awareness I had as a really, really young child. I believe that I was never really quite asleep. I was born pretty awake already in this lifetime. So my earliest memory of being able to intuit energy or see it is when I was just 18 months old. Literally, I was just a toddler. And I have this memory of Mum and Dad having an argument, and Mum was holding me. In her arms when I was very little. And she was angry with Dad because Dad wouldn't do what she wanted. I can't remember. Anyway, Mum was very young when she had me. So when I was 18 months old, she was only 18. Dad would have been 24. He was very popular, successful soccer player. He wanted to do what he wanted to do, and Mum wanted him to do what she wanted him to do, I guess. So there was this power struggle. They had a shotgun wedding because my mum got knocked up when she was 17. I come from Eastern Europe. It was a huge shameful act to fall pregnant outside of marriage. So Mum and Dad got married quick, smart, before it was obvious that she was pregnant with me. So already they had a unhappy start to their life together. And I was born into this energy. So Mum and Dad are having this argument. I'm 18 months old and I can see this thing going on between them, right? This really, what I remember it to look like is like a whiplash, right? Like a whip lashing the other person. Really yucky. I created a series, so that's a timeline. That memory is a timeline for me, right? My very first memory of energy interacting, of being in this energy that's or I should say on this timeline, right? This timeline then, when I observe it from this present moment, consists of a great deal of fear. I was shit scared. I was scared of my mum, because she was the one that had the energetic whip that I could see, and she was the one that had the threatening words. She threatened my dad that she was going to take me away from him, and Dad was never going to be able to see me if he didn't do what she said. So in my perception, that timeline consists of Mum is a horrible, scary monster, and I'm afraid of her, and she can't be trusted. It also created energy, or a set of values, set of beliefs, right? That I am a threat to people somehow. That this, on some level, this argument was happening because of me. So I needed to be quiet. I needed to not be seen much. I was very shy. And so consequently, as a young child, or even as an adult, I was very shy. I was also really shy because I was born into a family that's naturally actually really dark. My dad, there's an ongoing joke in my family that my dad ordered a little blonde girl and he got one. So when I was born, people would use that, me being blonde, as a joke, as a put down, as a, point of difference. So I grew up with being shit scared of my mum as a direct result of that timeline and of that energy, right? So there's fear of the feminine matriarch. There's fear of abandonment from the masculine. And there's a sense of self-loathing at such an early age for the way that I looked and the fact that I stood out from a very, very, very young age. Even when I went to school, there was never, you wouldn't think a blonde baby, a blonde child would feel so horrendous for being different. But that's my world experience, right? And so you can imagine that timeline with those energy charges created, hang on, someone said something, yeah? All right, Sammy, no problem, baby. That timeline created really heavy charge that played out throughout my entire life. And so for a lot of the time in my life, right, that subconscious timeline, until I had the memory and I knew how to work with this directly, would call to itself situations, people, places that would be at the same energy charge, so that I could eventually just observe it and begin to understand it and work with it. Yeah. So I would call to myself women that were of authority, that just treated me in the most horrendous ways, right? I would call to myself experiences where men seemed to be completely devoted to me, but then they abandoned me because they left or went away. in some way, shape, or form. And I called to myself groups of people where I always stood out. I looked different. And so I spent my entire life, or a lot of my life, trying to just fit in, just trying to find the normal, which is why I stayed in the spiritual closet for such a long time. Once I was able to become consciously aware in this present moment of this timeline, I began to understand all the different particles of this timeline that had a charge, those negative charges. And so I was able to begin to work with those energies, with those perceptions, with those values that still had those negative belief systems on that stem from that timeline, and slowly begin to dissolve those belief systems, those values, those energies. Yeah. So I didn't have to, so I spend a lot of my time being unconsciously stuck still in the past, right? For as long as you're unconscious, unaware, you live in the past because you haven't gotten past. No, how am I going to say this so it makes sense? For as long as you are unaware of a timeline, a belief system, a dense or negative energetic charge, you live in the past because your energy is active in the past. So you are continually reliving it from that subconscious space. You may remember the event, but if you're not aware of the effect that it had on you, you can't even begin to understand it and bring it to light. The second you become aware of a timeline, instead of being stuck and attached to those energies, to those belief systems, values, you can literally bring that value the way I've just described it. Back then, I was a child having this experience. In my 20s, I may have been 20-something, but there was a belief system that still existed, that was running in my unconscious mind, which kept me attached to that 18-month-year-old. 18-month-year-old. Is that good English? So I was operating from the perspective of the 18-month-year-old because that timeline is set at that age within my unconscious mind. When I became aware of this timeline, when I remembered that this happened to me when I was 18 months old, I was then able to bring that timeline into the present moment, not by reacting from the timeline or from the perspective of the 18 months old child, toddler, but I was able to observe it from the 40-year-old's adult perspective. So I'm now watching, observing what happened in the present moment to that part of me that was 18 months old. So this is bringing the timeline to the present moment. So the unconscious, right, will be a reaction from the timeline, whatever age you're at on that timeline. Or you observe what had happened to you or the timeline from the present moment by understanding it, that you are observing it at whatever age you are right now. Let me give you another example. I knew that I was able to intuit, like I said, this energy from a very early age. When I was 12 years old, I signed my first professional sport contract. I was very good at what's called international handball, because I grew up in Europe. And the reason why I was noticed and I was so successful when I was so young was because I had what I believed to be a secret power. And the secret power was energy. I could sense it. So when I would play right in the middle of a game, I was able to intuit where the energy was going to go before it happened. Just a couple of seconds before. And the reason is because, right, so say I'm playing basketball and I've got the ball, right, and I'm bouncing the ball. There is something that happens a moment before you pass it or you shoot. You intend it to go a certain way, right? So there is a feeling and a thought that aligns, and then the body reacts. So there's like a second or even a millisecond between the thought and the action. I was able to read or intuit the thought as it happened. So I was always a second, even a millisecond ahead of everybody else. So I was able to run to the right like part or area or pass or prevent or whatever. So being able to intuit energy was hugely important to me. I always knew I had this superpower. The thing was, other people wouldn't believe me. And by 12, I had had several experiences within my family where my family had told me that I was imagining things, I was really crazy. Where by 12, I had already decided that this secret power was like my secret friend. And I knew it worked, but there's no freaking way I was telling anybody about this. And so I put myself in the spiritual closet. I put myself in the intuitive closet until I was 44. I came out of the spiritual closet officially when I was 44. What I'm telling you within the context of what we are doing is that there is a timeline, or was a timeline, right, that had an opposing charge on it. The first charge was neutral. It was the one that served from the highest perspective, from my soul. But there was also the other opposing, or seemingly opposing, aspect on that timeline is where I consciously hid it because I perceived it as dangerous to talk about. Dangerous to me, because if I were to voice it or talk about it, I would be judged and persecuted by others. This fear or this belief that I had to hide this not only comes from this lifetime, it actually comes from other lifetimes. So clearing this particular belief is huge, and not just for me. This fear of being persecuted, this need to hide, intuitive divine knowing, this fear of being able to openly talk about it, to be authentic and transparent, is something that we are still dealing with as a general collective. I find that often I'm still transmuting this for the collective, even if I have neutralized timelines, my timelines around this. There are many, many very intricate timelines in the collective, unconscious, including Gaia as planet Earth, that holds these dense energies, these very dense, scary timelines around this particular fear of, what am I doing? Of being judged and persecuted for holding, not just holding divine wisdom, but expressing divine wisdom openly in this physical space. So healing in the present moment literally is about being able to understand what energy you have in your memory bank on all the different timelines. Once you understand what energy you have already taken steps to bring those timelines, those linear timelines, right, into the present moment. And then instead of reacting from the perspective of the particle on that timeline, meaning whatever age you were back then, you learn to observe it as you would here, right? I'm holding it outside of you and you're observing it. You're observing this timeline from this current moment as whatever age you're at right now. So there is a detachment, there's a connection, but there's a detachment. You're not attached to it and codependent on that shitty energy anymore. You're working towards dissolving the shitty energy so you are not recreating it in this present moment because you've learned from it enough. You don't need that charge in this present moment anymore because you've learned from it. You can just observe it outside of that linear timeline. Please tell me if any of this is making sense to you. Makes sense in regards to the spiritual closet thing, as I did the same. Yeah, it's quite common. Yeah. Yeah, Lauren. Yeah, it's really, really quite common. And it's such a massive, right, energetic charge collectively, because there's been, I mean, a lot of us, light workers, starseeds, angelics, whatever, wherever we are reincarnating from, we are a massive amount of this work that we are here to do is about transmuting. So the process of transmutation is actually the process of neutralizing. On other words for it, I say alchemy, you know, like when you are changing one thing into something else. A lot of this also goes towards that conscious remembering of Christ consciousness. the angelic realms and um, Christ consciousness around the energy and the application of unconditional love. And the beautiful archetypal representations of this are, of course, Jesus, Magdalene, Mother Mary, Mother Teresa, reincarnate in the physical in her lifetime, and so on and so forth. So any question? So, okay. So Lauren is here and Sammy was here, but I think she needed to go and do something. So I'm just going to say, for those of you that will take part in this later on, please just either private message me, or I will get notifications if you have questions in the comments directly under the workshop. I will also, of course, have this open for the week, so you'll be able to watch this 10 times if you want to, or just rewind and go over the same thing until, and if it makes sense, and if it doesn't, just ask me a question and I might, have a quick one-on-one or answer it in writing so that other people can also see it. Maybe it's something that they hadn't considered. I have this big, beautiful bee. No, it's a massive fly that's flying around, that's loving this workshop, by the way. Saying hi. Okay, so what else? Where am I? I just want to quickly touch base with my notes. And I'm going to do a summary. So, what is the present moment? The present moment, right, is right now. A way to come back, if you're not sure whether you're in the present moment or not, all you have to do, right, is have a check-in, quick check-in of what you are smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing, touching right now. Engage first and foremost with your 5 senses right now. Then close your eyes, take a deep breath in and exhale, connecting your conscious awareness and your focus with your breath. Those two are your first port of call. If you're not with that, you're either too busy in the past or you're too busy trying to control and predict the future, which doesn't even exist yet. So those two things. That can literally take you less than 10 seconds. Have you got 10 seconds in your day to commit to your own journey? If you think you haven't got 10 seconds in your day, you really have a freaking problem. And you and I need to talk one-on-one. Multisensory and your breath. 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That quick. And then I want you to gift yourself with another 10 seconds by checking in. What is my primary feeling? What is my primary thought? What am I feeling in my body? Are there any aches or pains, discomforts? Okay, I said that in 2 seconds, but give yourself another 10. Gift yourself 20 seconds 4 times a day. So 4 times 2 is what, 80? That's kind of just over a minute. Gift yourself 80 seconds or 20 seconds 4 times a day. When you get up first thing in the morning, maybe while you're having a shower. When you get to your job, close your eyes, take a deep breath. When you finish your day, close your eyes, take a deep breath. At work, I mean. Just before you go to bed, close your eyes. How are you going to bed? Are you allowing your body to rest? And so then, if you do that for 3 days, the neurology of your brain, your neuro pathways will start to change. They will begin to change from someone that is functioning in constant reaction to someone that is an observer. Because your brain will begin to exist or to look for a way to be more at peace. And you're more at peace when you observe than when you're troubled. Right? And so you'll start to get some insights. And so how do you deal with the insights? Write them down. You're really visual? Carry a frickin' notepad. Write it down. I have this, I'll show you. Just so that you know what I mean. Look at this. I am highly, highly visual. Massive, big A5 size diary. Right, here's the diary. Oops, where is it? There we go. See? It takes a little bit of trained effort, but I do it because I write it down and I don't freaking have to think or clobber, or sorry, what I meant to say is clog my brain with information. Don't want the information. It's here. I want to keep my brain fresh for divine wisdom. I don't want to take up my brain with freaking washing dirty underwear. How boring is that? Seriously. So I write everything down. Some people, right, are really well aligned with technology. Most smartphones these days have a notes section. Type it in your damn diary as you think of it. Do you know what else? Most smartphones also have the facility to voice record, just like the old school dictaphone. Divine wisdom comes in, talk if you're more auditory. Any action you take based on your divine wisdom will rewire your neuro pathways, and you will begin to feel the difference. You will transmit different chemicals, different energy that equals that chemical reaction in this physical space. Oh, my ear. Yeah. Wow. This is a workshop we are going to have really, really soon, I think. What is the difference between understanding, knowing, grounding, anchoring, embodiment? It's a bit of a process. It's kind of like coming through the layers of knowing, of awareness. Yeah, that's definitely a workshop we're going to have soon. Is that Sammy? Are you back, my love? I just said, oh, Michelle. Hey, baby. Hi, cutie. How you doing, honey? Yeah, we're almost at the end of what we are doing here today. But I wanted to, sorry, I'm just doing a summary of what is the present moment and how to come back into the present moment, and then how to stay in the present moment, right? Having awareness of those aspects, right, is how you come back into the present moment. So then anything you choose is hand in hand with your highest understanding, knowing right now. And that's how you create the future, your future moments and future expressions of your reality. So the present moment in relation to the past is the timeline, right? It's a series of energetic particles that are in direct correlation with something that happened in your past, right? So the timelines can be made up of, obviously, of experiences or particles that are created that are in alignment with your highest soul truth, divine truth. They are neutral, I guess, by nature, and they don't get stuck in your subconscious because there is nothing to work out already, right? But then there is like that negative, more dense charge in a timeline, which kind of gets lodged in the form of an energetic stamp or memory in your subconscious. And it is this stamp, energetic stamp, that calls and magnetizes to you like or equal frequency, equal energy, to bring to your attention, yeah, what is needing to come into light, what needs to be dissolved or neutralized, yeah. What often happens, right, is when people are very much living unaware of their unconscious mind, is that charge of energy from a past timeline, right, will be their reality. So people often respond and create their present moments from the timeline that they're stuck on, whether they're 3 or whether they're 5 or whether they're 55, it doesn't matter. So obviously, unfortunately, the masculine energy or the masculine consciousness, they are often stuck emotionally responding from the 5-year-old's perspective, for example. But this is not untrue for the feminine energy as well. But I'm just using that as a really generalized, example. Yeah. In order to dissolve and collapse timelines, we actually need to bring those timelines through the process of awareness into the present moment. So it kind of becomes that, like you draw a timeline and you have these, particle charges, particles of energy on the timeline. And when you draw it, you can observe it from this current moment, as opposed to, so that way it is detached, it's an observation, as opposed to unconsciously reacting from the 5-year-old's perspective, which is a timeline in your unconscious. I hope you understand this. Anyway, you will let me know if you have some questions about that, please. Okay. What's next? So every time we dissolve an energy particle or we neutralize it, which is when it dissolves, the energy charge, the negative charge, right? Then that energy gets to kind of dissolve at that frequency and kind of go up in frequency and align with your higher selves. That is ascension. So a group of particles raising to a different frequency band, a different platform, different point of consciousness is ascension. Acknowledging a particle of energy that has a dense charge in the present moment from that more detached perspective allows us to heal because we are giving it space, and when we can just observe it. We can in time feel compassion for it, see it for what it is, and that allows forgiveness. That's how we heal our timelines. That's how we neutralize and dissolve that negative charge. And that's also how we don't get stuck in the past, you know? Conscious awareness is actually everything. And then, you know, with conscious awareness comes the understanding, and so on. Here's the thing that I didn't say before. This is the really beautiful thing, that when you find your core wound, the core timeline to something that your soul really wanted to learn and neutralize in this life, then you might have, obviously, you would have from that initial negative charge on a timeline, you would have then, through the process of the subconscious or not being aware of it, created other timelines that have the same kind of negative charge. Here's the thing, that when you dissolve one timeline or neutralize it, you actually neutralize it on all the timelines that stem from that initial one. So once you heal an aspect of yourself, say around, say abandonment, then all the issues, all past timelines come into awareness, they come into light, and they all dissolve simultaneously. This is why timeline collapse can sometimes literally feel like the Tower card, because all the platforms that were based on that negative charge will literally dissolve, collapse. It's not that it didn't happen. It just means that it no longer holds an energy charge. And so you clear it from your subconscious. So you don't have to create that again. You don't need to learn that lesson again. Gosh, I hope I'm making sense. Okay. I've been talking for 2 hours. Wow. It's amazing to me how quickly 2 hours goes. Now, I want to check in to see if there's any questions at the moment. If there isn't, we're going to start to close this workshop. Lauren, Sammy, are you still there? While the questions are being asked, if there are any, I just want to say how extraordinary it is to me that there is a dozen people that have signed up for this workshop, right? And it's only the second one. People are barely even aware of, internet at this point. Internet, of course, being the online platform, the online school that's facilitating these workshops. That we've only really had one that's been Lauren, beautiful Lauren, that's been here throughout this live broadcast. Sammy was here for a part of it and needed to go, and same with Michelle. And the rest will watch it in their own time throughout this week that this group is open. I think it's fantastic. It's fascinating. I've actually never known an online platform to be done in this way. So I'm really, really, really so grateful to Spirit for offering, for making this offering and bringing this awareness in. Okay, Lauren has no questions. Oh, Michelle said that she's late, didn't get a notification. Oh no, oh my goodness. This Facebook crashing and everything's been really crazy. Michelle, I'm so sorry, but here it is. So you'll be able to watch it maybe hopefully on the weekend or something. You've got a week. Anyway. Goodness me. You know, with Facebook and Instagram crashing last week, I reckon when they rebooted, they're changing some algorithms. I've already had one thing happen that's changed on the way this is all facilitated. And this not getting a notification is, yeah, it's not okay. There is something that I think I can do about it. But I didn't realize that you didn't get a notification. So my sincere apologies. Okay. I don't want to drag this on for any longer than the 2 hours. So I'm just going to apologize and yeah, we'll just go from there. But you know, you've got access for the next week, so you can do it at another time. I'm just going to sad face this. Okay. Practicing being in the present moment is of vital importance for your ascension and the understanding of the way your soul operates as part of this physical realm. It's paramount in terms of your spiritual maturity and your spiritual intelligence. Please, please, please practice being present in the spiritual moment, in the present moment. Wow. In the present moment, like I said, described earlier, 20 seconds, 3-4 times a day will begin taking conscious action in this way. Will begin the process within the first 3 days of your neuro pathways beginning to change. So then you need to do it, it needs to become like first nature. So you need to do that more and more. You need to catch yourself, come back into the present moment whenever possible, until your default is the present moment as opposed to the past or the future. If the future is your default, I can't even begin to imagine what you're actually creating, because you are literally no man's land or no woman's land. Cool. Thanks, Michelle. because the future doesn't exist. So it's like you don't exist. Your conscious awareness is somewhere in la la land and you actually don't consciously exist. Yeah. Please practice being in the present moment. This is where the gem is. This is where you get to be the goddess, the divine self, your divine self, the best version of yourself. This present moment is where you get to be the gift to this world. Gift we desperately need in this collective time, in this aspect of the evolution of the soul, of the evolution of Gaia, of the evolution of consciousness. This right now, this moment. I want to thank you from my soul. I want to thank you from that highest aspect of me for being here with me in your present moment, whenever that is, whether it's right now, whether it's at some point in the future. I hope that at the very least, and you would have received codes of light as they come through me and my throat chakra and out of my mouth in this recording. You will at the very least receive divine codes of light as a default of this transmission called a workshop. As an extension, I hope that you have consciously actually received some remembering that some of what I have said has anchored you more in your divine truth. That as a result of what I have said, you are able to remember something that you already know. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren says, thank you very much, and definitely got some codes, been drawing them. Oh, yay. We want them. We need them. Whoop, whoop. Michelle, I find it easy to do when paying attention to animals and nature. Yes, yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's also quite easy when we are, you know, when we are busy as well, we don't have to set the present moment as a default. It just becomes a default. So that's awesome. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to love you so much and hope to see you again in the future. Linear time through the next workshops. Over the next few days, I'm actually going to channel and publish a little bit more in advance the 2 workshops for April. So again, it's every 11th and 22nd of the month that I'll be doing these. Please feel free to share the events with your tribe if you think that anyone would have some use of them. Don't share the group, because those that are not registered to take part in the workshop won't be able to access the group, but feel free to share the event or invite people to have a look at the event. I'm just gonna see what's coming up. Remember how I told you earlier that I'm going to do a workshop that has to do with how do we go from, you know, that subconscious reaction into intellectualizing something or intellectual knowing to understanding to you know, grounding to anchoring to embodiment of divine knowledge or remembering. Yeah, that's coming up in April. So I hope you can join me for that. And the other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to do, and I think that this is actually, for me in my life, this was the key to my divine self, the portal, and it's called the breath. So I'm going to actually do a workshop on breath work. And that inner connection. Okay, I'm done. Love you so much. Mwah. Have a great day. Bye.